After a years-long fight between the establishment and America First on Capitol Hill, the fight has continued in House primaries. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today it is time that we talk about the chaos that is unfolding within the Republican Party. Because as most of you know, there has been a bitter divide within the GOP for the past 8 or so years between the two major factions of the party. The more established wing of the GOP, people like Kevin McCarthy, people like Paul Ryan, and those other bozos. The old school, the people that have been around for a long time. They ran the party into the ground, all that stuff. Versus the more America First MAGA wing. People like Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar, etc. Now, to be clear, not every Republican is an establishment hack or part of America First. I'm not saying that. People like Thomas Massey's a bit more libertarian. People like Brian Fitzpatrick, he's a moderate, but an actual moderate. That doesn't necessarily shill for the establishment 24/7. So there are some caveats here and there, but the fight is really between the two big factions. Now, before we continue with that, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you can join Real American. This is the best way to support the daily content that we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Now, like I said, not every candidate is America First establishment. I'm not saying that, but generally speaking, the fight for the GOP is between the two. And next year is going to be the year we get to see, does the Republican Party finally move on from the old ways? Or will they keep going with the nonsense, keep the nonsense going, such as McCarthy and all that crap? So let's get into it. Republicans are desperate to avoid nasty primaries next year, but the architect of Kevin McCarthy's ouster from the speakership has other plans. Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida is continuing the Buck Party leadership, which has tried to coalesce early this cycle behind candidates in key races. Now, to be clear, I am not against coalescing behind one candidate, especially if it's a solid enough option where, fine, I can live with it. Here's the problem, though. Some of the candidates these people are choosing, they just suck. They're just Democrat light in some circumstances. I mean, a lot of them are state legislators, which, funny enough, we have a voting record on them, and all of them just suck. They nearly all have the same voting record. Just everything's the same about them. It's like, you're telling me you cannot find a single, even remotely conservative candidate anywhere? That's the problem with who the establishment picks. They never pick somebody that's even slightly conservative. They just pick an establishment shill that votes like 40% of the time with Democrats. That's a problem that people have with the GOP. Always have. Even in deep red seats, they're worried about electability. And I'm sick and tired of that word. I have done many videos demonstrating that electability, in many circumstances, it's just flat out misleading. Some of these data points people use, we'll get to in a second, are just BS. All right? Again, I'm not saying electability doesn't exist. I'm just saying that it is blown out of proportion for some of these people. Gaetz, a prominent figure of the most conservative wing of the GOP, endorsed Jared Majewski, who lost his bid last year after a report he misrepresented his combat duty, which, the fact Politico is not saying the fact, hey, the Air Force admitted they made a mistake. They did not add his medal to his record, and that's what happened. That is true. He served. I am sick and tired of the media. I'm sick and tired of the people on Twitter. Hell, the quote-unquote Republican running in Ohio 9th, running on that same garbage that Marcy Kaptur and her people ran on. Listen, Majewski probably wasn't going to win. Fine. But do you just think a little bit of that underperformance came from the fact that, Kaptur says he lied about his military service, and instead of backing with him, the GOP abandoned him at the 11th hour when he needed the help the most. That's my problem with some of these people, and that's my problem with this electability crap. You look at many America First candidates, they got abandoned by their own party. When they needed help the most, the party just said, screw you. We don't like you, so go away. They did this to Majewski, they did this to Kent, and I'm sick of people pretending it never happened. If the party was truly about winning, they would have spent a lot of money trying to save J.R. Majewski, at least just a little bit. Just something. But no. They refused because guess what? Their candidate lost the primary and they were mad about it. In the high-stakes race for Ohio 9th District, Gates also supports former Nevada State Senator Elizabeth Halligan, who's running to the right in Nevada's 3rd District, and for Darren Bailey, an unsuccessful 2022 Illinois gubernatorial candidate, who is now challenging Republican Congressman Mike Bose on Illinois 12th. The common theme among these candidates who have caught Gates' attention, they're all ultra-conservatives. Really? They're trying to make it sound like these people are all far-right when they're not. They're just MAGA. They're America First people. Who are all running in primaries against candidates backed by McCarthy, who, boy, McCarthy, some of these people that you're backing, why? Just why? McCarthy threw his weight around in competitive races early in the 2024 cycle, including endorsing State Representative Heidi Kazima in Nevada 3rd, which, you talk with somebody that has a garbage record, that's her. She has an atrocious voting record. Look up her ACU scorecard. 70%. You know what that means? She is closer to Democrats in some areas. Or I'm not saying she's a Democrat, I'm just saying that she votes only conservative 70% of the time. In a seat that's what? R plus, let's look at it. I'll look up right now. R plus, Trump plus, or Biden plus 4 or 5. Listen, this seat is shifting to the right. Most of Nevada is. And yes, you don't need to run, an America First warrior. Fine. This is what the establishment fails to understand. Electability doesn't mean being a moderate. That's never been the case. Look at Democrats. Look at Dan Kildee in Michigan. His voting record's one of the most extreme in the House, but he wins by so much because there's circumstances to it. He's not a moderate. Same thing with Matt Cartwright. Same thing with many Democrats. I mean, name a moderate Democrat in the House. Henry Cuellar is the closest, but he's been basically just a full-blown progressive, not on everything, but on most issues of the past year. That's what I'm saying. There's no moderate Democrats left. Even in competitive seats, they're just Democrats, just slightly less progressive. Republicans have this philosophy that if you're a moderate, you're electable, which is BS. It depends on the campaign you run. It depends on the circumstance of the race. And let's face it, the moderate Republicans of last year had far easier race, not saying everywhere, but in most of the races that they overperformed, they had far easier pathways to victory than the America First candidates did. It's true. Look at Doug Mastriano in Pennsylvania. Any Republican was losing that race. But he was double screwed when the GOP refused to even back him a cent, even when the polling had him only down by a couple points. Tudor Dixon in Michigan. They waited till the last second to do anything. J.R. Majewski bailed on him the second there was a negative news story. They never did that to any of their candidates, but the America First people, oh, we have to bail on them for one bad story. When they had some of the most brutal races to run on. You think I'm kidding? Look at who the moderates ran. Most of them ran in New York, and if it wasn't for Zeldin, they would have all gotten wiped off the map. Zeldin's the reason, who's not necessarily a moderate, for them winning. That's what I'm saying. Moderate does not automatically mean electable. Yes, some circumstances, such as Charlie Baker in Massachusetts, fine. But not every single race, not even Biden plus 4 or 5 seats. You don't have to be just basically a Democrat light to win. You just got to run a good campaign. And that's the thing people are just ignoring. You can look at it. You take out Pennsylvania and Michigan, the 2 gubernatorial races, suddenly that underperformance by MAGA is not as big as some people claimed. Those 2 races alone inflated a lot of margins when no Republican, no matter who you ran, was going to win those. So you just start looking at this. Some of these candidates just suck. Craig Rydell in Ohio 9th, who people just forget that you need to win over your own base. People like Craig Rydell would lose a lot of Trump voters in a Trump plus 3 district. A district that have a lot of Trump voters that are already fans of Marcy Kaptur. When you're openly saying, or at least in private interviews, Trump is an authoritarian, he is bad, Orange Man bad, do you really think that's going to excite the Republican base behind you? You just keep looking at this, and political blames on candidate quality nearly cost Republicans the House majority, when in reality, it was the GOP establishment for bailing on its own candidates that cost them, or nearly did, the House. And helping only specific people. They helped Alan Fung more than they did Jared Majewski. What does that tell you? What? They had incompetence across the board. So electability it's important, but it's not what some people claim it is. But anyways, folks, we just got to see what happens. This is really going to be the fight between America First and the establishment. Don't fall for these narratives they've been using for years. Because, yeah, they control the money. Gee, if a candidate has $0 versus going against somebody that has 50 million, gee, I wonder why they lose. It must be because they are too conservative. Maybe it's just because they always had an uphill battle and the party refused to help them. But we got to get as many America First people in as possible. Support good candidates. I'm not saying you have to support Tudor Dixons of the world, but support people that are not like this Elizabeth Heiligen, I think I'm saying her name correctly, who votes only 70% Republican or conservative and only a Biden plus 4 seat. Those clowns, there's no reason for them to exist. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.